Hello, hello. What is up? What is good? It is time for another 2025 retrospective video. This time on the top 10 meals that I ate in 2025. This is one that I haven't done in years past, but I think it's a fun idea. I am like a big time foodie. I love having a good meal. I love reflecting on good meals I've had in the past. I am an unrepentant food photographer. Pretty much anything I eat, I take a picture of first, and this felt like a great way to revisit that. My disclaimer is that this will only be restaurant meals. I did not want to try to compare my home cooking, and certainly not home cooking of others, with restaurant meals. That just feels like it would be only bad vibes to be like, well, my grandma made me this meal, but my boyfriend's mom made me this meal, and this one was a little bit better. No. Nobody wants to do that. That's just mean. I did obviously have some really great home cooked meals. I made myself some dishes that I really enjoyed too, but I think it's just a different spectrum. Along these lines too, these are just going to be a ranking of the food itself, of the pure pleasure experience of eating the meal, and not the circumstances of who I was with or the rest of the night out or the ambiance of the restaurant or the value or whatever, the amount of money I spent on it, creates a very deep psychological effect in terms of what you expect. Obviously, it's impossible to kind of separate all of those things and think about the meal objectively, but I'm going to do my best to do that and just talk about the food itself. I think those are all my disclaimers. This was still a very hard list to put together, even given those constraints. It still felt pretty bad to disinclude certain offerings and stuff. I certainly have a lot of sensitivity and maybe hyper empathy towards food, but that's a big rabbit hole that we don't need to get into. Let's just start down our list. At number 10, we have Oliver's Original Chicken Fried Ribs. I got this at the Royal Winter Fair. My friend and I that had gone together saw this sign. We were both very, very curious. So for kind of an afternoon between lunch and dinner meal, we split a plate of these. My boyfriend was there too. He had some. I had never had chicken fried ribs before. This, of course, is kind of like chicken fried steak, where you are frying it and battering it and everything as if it was fried chicken, but instead it's steak, or in this case, ribs. So it has this kind of like crispy shell outer coating, but the inside is that wonderful kind of like flaky, fatty, juicy rib flavor. I was blown away by this. I kind of thought, ooh, man, this could be good. And while he was preparing with us, Oliver, the owner of this restaurant, who does mostly these kind of like food booth catering type things for events. I don't think they have like a permanent location, unfortunately. But he was just kind of chatting about how he kind of discovered this, stumbled upon this idea, and that people have been addicted ever since. He warned us that we might get addicted to, and he was right. I looking at these again now, I really wish I could have them again. I don't know if there really is an option for me to get them today, but if I could, I would. The barbecue sauce it came with was also phenomenal. That's another in-house Oliver's Original production. Just that perfect blend of smoky and sweet and tangy that I think not only goes great with ribs in general and would be a great rib sauce were you to like slow roast these or whatever, but with the batter of the fried ribs, which was, just like fried chicken, just had that kind of peppery, crunchy, crispy addictiveness. It was out of this world. Dipping it in the queso was also great. We also ordered a deep fried cob of corn, which I also really enjoyed. Not as much as the ribs, but that's also a great treat. That's a definite novelty. Some coleslaw came with it. Great plate, perfect to share with some friends. I would eat this 100 times over, for better or worse. Everything just comes together in this really brilliant idea. That was number 9. Gonna check my Discord messages real quick. Make sure that is not urgent. My Slack messages as well. Always got to be checking those. All right. Next, at number 9, we have Bing's. Now, this is a meal that I had many times last year. This is a fast food chain out of Beijing that specializes in the crispy burger. You can see the crispy burger right there. I didn't take a better picture of that. That's kind of like their flagship item. It's a traditional kind of Chinese sandwich going back millennia. Many people say that this is kind of the original hamburger, insofar as that it's like ground up meat combined with a pastry shell of some sort. With the crispy burger, of course, it's not a kind of fluffy, doughy bun, but instead a multi-layer, flaky, crispy pastry, which is smushed out, then fried, and then stuffed with the meat. I love them. They're super, super addictive. Bing's does a great job of getting just like really nice, fatty, juicy meat in there without kind of over seasoning it, making it too complex, too spicy, too anything. Instead, it just kind of feels like eating a good hamburger. Just this very nicely balanced food, very Moorish, very addictive. Here, I probably got the Peking duck variant of the crispy burger, which is a limited time option. It's not widely available all the time. Actually, I think it's back, so I do want to go check Bing's again, because that's definitely my favorite of the crispy burger. I typically get it with this side, the chili oil pork wontons. These are really phenomenal too. They're, again, nothing crazy, nothing that you've never had before, but just a nice blend of chili oil, really good spiciness level for me, tons and tons of peanuts and cilantro and green onion. I love that they just dump those in there. And then the dumplings, again, nothing that special, but they just really hit the spot. They're a good size. And bringing it all together, we have the Hong Kong milk tea, which unfortunately has disappeared from the menu. I don't know if it just wasn't that popular or they weren't getting the returns on it that they wanted, but really, really missed that. That was one of the highlights of the whole experience for me. So this particular meal I probably had more than any other single meal in 2025. Basically, like 2 years ago, I was up in Markham with my cousin, who has a car, so we were touring around Markham and some of the other harder to get to areas in the GTA. And we just, on a whim, went to Bing's. We had never heard of it before. We were doing some shopping in a plaza that had what at the time was the only Bing's in the GTA. And we just loved it. And for months, we would just kind of bring it up incidentally. Okay, but do you remember Bing's? Oh, man, that was good stuff. And then they opened up downtown locations. And I think within the last year, they've gone from like 0 to 4, maybe 5 downtown locations. And all sorts of convenient spots for me. Very, very hard to resist. There's nothing I want more from pretty much any food court that has one than good old Bing's. Sure, losing the duck burger, that sucks. Hopefully it comes back. I think it has come back. Losing the Hong Kong milk tea, that sucks. But it's still so great. It's still definitely my favorite fast food. The lengths of my depravity for Bing's, I should have brought it over. I'm too lazy to go get it, plus I'm not wearing pants. But they were giving out a Bing's Crispy Burger plushie, and I waited in line for like 2 hours to get one. And you might think, that's psychotic. Why would you wait in line for 2 hours? Because if I didn't wait in line for 2 hours, I wouldn't have got one. That's how extreme the Bing's fandom has become in Canada already. They're making huge waves. I hope they just keep expanding and launching more stores and getting everybody on the Bing's train. I've been telling everybody about this place. It's so good. Check your local city. Do you have a Bing's? If so, get your ass over to Bing's. Doesn't matter which burger you pick. Doesn't matter which side you pick. I've tried a bunch of them. They're all great. These are my favorites, but everything is good. Check it out. I love it. All right, next we swerve into a little bit more of fine dining. It's a funny story with this one. Okay, so I was out running some errands in a part of town that I don't typically go to, and it was getting around dinner time. I had some plans later in the evening, but I knew I had to eat dinner first, so I was like, I'll just grab someplace quick around here. And I had heard of this restaurant, the Lunch Lady of Saigon. I had heard it was really, really good. It was very hyped up when it opened. I think the original is in Vancouver, and this was the first Toronto branch, first branch in Ontario. And I thought, oh, okay, Lunch Lady, it's gonna be like a cafeteria, you know? I'm gonna go in and order like a big bowl of pho or some vermicelli or something, or like a banh mi or something. I was like, it's gonna be like a Vietnamese counter service restaurant. And clearly, from the pictures here, it was not. I walked in, and the inside looked totally different than the outside. It was actually a very kind of like hip, upscale, trendy sort of place, where all sorts of well dressed people were dining in low light. And I was proactively approached by a maitre d' who asked if I had a reservation, and I was like, no, kind of expecting to be like turned away at that point, or to be told, oh, well, it's like a 2 hour wait or whatever. They said, are you dining solo? And I was like, oh, sure, yeah. Again, not really knowing if I was now being led to get a table or what was happening, but they were like, hey, if you want to eat now, we've got a spot open at the bar. And at this point, you know, obviously I had a reason to back out. I could have had any excuse to back out. I could have just said, hey, I misunderstood what kind of restaurant this was. I just wanted to pop in and see it, but alas. But in that moment, I think because I was hungry and I could smell the food at that point, I was like, fuck it. Yeah, take me to the bar. I'll have a meal. And boy, howdy, did I have a meal. I think it is a really nice treat for yourself to just have like a solo fine dining experience occasionally. It's expensive, and if you're going to spend that money, you might as well make it an evening out with friends. But there is something unique and very fulfilling and very nice about having a meal this good by yourself, eating at your own pace, focusing so much on the food because you don't have to talk. I was just reading a book and enjoying this 3 course meal plus cocktail that I ordered for myself. And I gotta say, the food did live up to the hype. Um, what all did I order? This was octopus skewers, baby octopus skewers. Phenomenal. I just remember these being so juicy, so succulent, and an interesting intersection where it was kind of spiced like the Vietnamese dishes, like cuttlefish and stuff that you would get at a Vietnamese restaurant. But the way they charred it on the spit gave it that kind of like charcoaly taste and the really kind of like buttery, flaky lightness of like a Spanish octopus dish, like a Spanish grilled octopus. And that combo was really, really phenomenal. I'd never had octopus like that before. Really stuck with me. And then I got these tamarind clams. I love tamarind as a flavor. I think the tamarind sauce they were able to make here was just the richest and butteriest and most delicious tamarind flavor I've ever experienced. It was probably pretty simple. It probably was just like boatloads of butter infused with tamarind. But man, that and just like the sweet, juicy clam flavor, mixing in the clam juices as well. Really, really phenomenal. They give you some fried dough sticks, of course, to soak up all of that additional sauce and clam juice and stuff. Really fantastic. Cocktail was great too. I think this was just like an old fashioned, but you know, probably cost like $20, so it was elevated in some way, I'm sure. But it really just hit the spot. Just having something with that kind of bitter, citrusy alcohol to cut through everything else was great. And then for dessert, I got myself a black sesame tiramisu, which is a combo I've never had before, but I was very, very impressed with that. Just really creamy, rich coffee flavors, nicely balanced with the sweetness of the black sesame. So definitely will return here at some point. I think if, I don't know, maybe if it's a friend's birthday or something, I want to treat them to a meal, this would be high on the list. Definitely make a reservation though. It was really, really busy on this like random Thursday night or whatever. So yeah, total stumble into it, totally unplanned, but wonderful meal. Great stuff. Okay, next we have Ramen Station. This is another kind of fortuitous thing where this is a ramen place in Chinatown that I had probably walked past like 20 times. Never thought twice about it. My rule of thumb is like, if I'm gonna have ramen, I want like Japanese ramen, you know? I want to go to like a true blue Japanese place. And I think a good rule of thumb is if it has the word ramen in the name, it's probably not going to be that good. Or if it is ramen in the name, it should be like something kind of evocative. Raijin, Ishin, Santoka. You know, Japanese words. Untranslated plus ramen can be good as well. Something like Ramen Station just felt so generic, and it was a Chinese restaurant, I could tell from the signage and stuff. So I never really thought twice about it. I figured it would probably be alright, but, you know, just cheap, whatever ramen. And then I started getting told by various people that frequent Yume Arcade, which is right near Ramen Station, hey, Ramen Station is actually like really, really good. You gotta try it. And it immediately jumped right up to among the best ramen places I've had in Toronto. I was blown away. It's so unique. I wouldn't even compare it to kind of traditional Japanese ramen. It's not an apples to apples comparison. I cannot say one is better than the other. Certainly, if I was craving like a nice shoyu broth, a creamy tonkatsu, something like that, this isn't where I would go. But at the same time, this has created an entirely new type of dish that I'm craving right now, looking at it, which is like the Chinese style ramen. It's a much bolder flavor, it's much more seasoned, it's much oilier, fattier, intense. And the combination of toppings that they have on offer here are things that I've never seen at a Japanese ramen place. For example, my favorite thing they have there is definitely these short rib ramens, where you've probably had these sort of barbecue short ribs at Chinese restaurants and stuff before. These are really phenomenal examples of that. The meat is great, so tender, so flavorful. And then dumping that on the ramen broth with lettuce, which is an odd combination, and there's corn in here, a ton of bean sprouts. You get 2 eggs. It's so indulgent. It's so over the top. All of these flavors go together like really, really phenomenally. It's not the high art of ramen or anything. You know, like I've had better noodles before. I've had eggs done better before. These are maybe a little overcooked. But the combination is so far beyond its sum of its parts. And if you want that kind of just like really indulgent, really full flavor ramen experience, I think this is the best in the city. It's so good. Just what a brilliant combination, man. Having this with broth and noodles. Oh man. Oh man. The broth is like tonkatsu, and like again, it's not the most complex or rich tonkatsu flavor I've had before. But just loading it up with oil, loading it up with the fatty meat, really, really takes it to the next level. Really good stuff. Just one of these hole in the wall places. You never think twice about it. Somebody's got to clue you in. That's the beauty of being a foodie, I think. That to me is the experience I love best. Having this sort of recommendation, having this sort of experience with friends, sharing in that sort of discovery. It's so good. All right. Next, we have Tai Ping Nong. This is a Thai restaurant in Uptown Toronto, kind of near. What station is it nearest? North York Center? Somewhere around there. This is one I had heard a lot of good things about, so me and my boyfriend went. It's on kind of a random night. We were craving Thai food and decided to try something a little different. And this was, I would say, just the perfect little different. It's a North Thai restaurant. I was familiar with pretty much all the stuff on the menu. But they really kind of elevated and did some twists on it and had some dishes that were really unlike anything I'd ever had before. Even though I go to a lot of Thai restaurants, I go to Pai sometimes. I like Pai a lot. I loved Sabai Sabai when it was around. That was another Toronto institution. I love Khao San Road. And it's like this place isn't like more experimental than those. It's just like another one, another direction. And I think just all the dishes we ordered this time really came together really, really nicely. I got this Thai iced tea. This is something I had seen on the internet. It's very Instagrammable, where they freeze the tea into this teddy bear that slowly melts away. Really, really nice Thai iced tea. I love Thai iced tea. This one was so creamy and intense and sweet and silky. Really, really, really good. We got these calamari rings that were like super juicy, super fat, with the kind of beer battering that I associate more with like Western onion rings. But really nice spice blend on these as well, complemented perfectly by this cream. My boyfriend got pork belly pad thai, which I think I have had before, but I tried a little bit of his and I was really blown away by how well they were able to integrate the pork belly, the fattiness of that, the richness of that, with the sauce, with the noodles, really elevating it. And then I got beef rib khao soi. Holy cow, what a treat. I really, really enjoy khao soi. Having it with the big beef rib was like such a novelty, so exciting. Gnawing away at that felt fantastic. The khao soi itself was phenomenal. You can see Oh, you can't actually see. My camera's in the way. I spilled a bit on myself. Hee hee. But the broth, yeah, so slurpable, so messy in all the best ways. Um, I really, really love that they give you these toppings as well. Just a bit of raw red onion and these pickles and bean sprouts, just to kind of cut through just that really kind of like juicy curry broth that can be so rich, almost overwhelmingly so. It's really nice to balance that out. And of course, the meat itself was so fatty, so rich and luxurious that comboing it with the pickles, especially, I just loved. That was so addictive. You don't really get a chance to have beef ribs too often. It's not a common menu offering. They're pretty cumbersome. They're very messy, but oh man, so satisfying. All right, next. Udanya is another staple of ours. It's right near the Eaton Center. The Eaton Center, of course, also has a Bing's in the food court, so it's facing a high bar for us to leave the mall, go down the street a little bit, and have some Udanya. But when we are in search of a meal that's a little more substantial, a little fancier, a little more exciting, this is one of our go-to spots. A lot of stuff on the menu is very, very tasty. And just recently, they rolled out an additional bonus snack bar where you can get stuff like croquettes, takoyaki, side salad, and stuff, all included in the price of your meal. Which you might kind of scoff at and go, okay, well then how much did they increase the price of the meal? But not very much. I think not a noticeable amount, maybe like a buck more. So to me, that's great value. Makes it all the more exciting to go there. But my favorite dish on the menu is something a little different than a lot of their dishes. Most of their dishes are just straight up, uh, you know, rice with toppings, donburis, uh, why am I struggling to remember? Karage. The karage donburi is very good. The pork belly one is fantastic. There's a tongue one I've had a few times, which is great. Every one of them I'm a big fan of, but my favorite and the one that definitely merits its inclusion on this list is their Hamachi Nabe Donburi, um, which has raw slices of hamachi. Then you get a piping hot broth that you pour over top, which just very, very lightly cooks it. You can mix this all together with the egg, the bonito flakes, the green onion. Over here is woodier mushroom that's been marinated and is super, super flavorful and juicy. Mix that all together in this sizzling stone bowl. Oh my god, it's so good. It's just so flavorful, so rich with that really potent dashi flavor being balanced out by the delicateness of the fish, which just has that really sweet spot of like kind of fishy but meaty, delicate fish flavor. The mushrooms are just phenomenal. I don't know how they marinate them to get the so much flavor infused into them, but they're just like explosively delicious in your mouth. It really, really comes together to something that's even more than the sum of its parts. And each of the parts I love too. Such a great eating experience as well, where you're just kind of like sampling all of these different tastes and textures and flavors. There's edamame in here as well. I think it's covered up. Getting bites that have combinations of each of them and then exploring each of them separately. And then as you eat it, all of the textures and flavors are changing as well as the dish continues to cook in the hot broth and in the stone bowl. Near the end, you finish it off with like the really crispy, burnt on bits of rice that you can chisel off. Really, really fantastic stuff. Feels like a whole journey in a dish. The sort of Japanese cooking that's still kind of hard to come by, but still westernized, I think, to an extent as well, with some very bold, memorable flavors. Um, Really, really, really great stuff. Cannot praise it too highly. Great restaurant. Everything there is good. But if this all sounds appealing to you, I really, really do recommend this dish. It's one in a million. Nothing else quite like it, I think, in Toronto. All right, now we have Cherry Street Barbecue. I should have put numbers somewhere. I think this is like fourth or something though, so we're heading into some really, really phenomenal meals. I mean, they're all phenomenal, but man, this was a lovely summer evening out with some friends. We ordered probably way too much food for just four of us, but it led to a feeling of true indulgence, true stuffing ourselves at this lovely barbecue, which is kind of down by the lake. We got, what all we got? Ribs, sausage, pulled pork, and the star of the show definitely has to be the brisket. It's maybe the best brisket I've ever had. Just melt in your mouth. So fatty, so juicy, so infused with that smoky flavor. Not pictured here is their barbecue sauce, but it is phenomenal. We got a squirt bottle of that to load everything up with. I am definitely a huge sauce enjoyer. And then we got four salads, which again, probably excessive, but they were all really fantastic and offered just great counterpoints to the barbecue flavor. I think it's like the risk with ordering a big platter like this is it can start to feel kind of one note, right? Because the everything is kind of cooked with the same smoke. Everything has roughly the same flavor profile. You're just varying sauce and texture and kind of the delivery apparatus. Is it a big bite of rib, where it's got some bite to it and some chew to it, and you're gnawing it off, or is it the pulled pork that's kind of more stringy and stuff? Is it the brisket that just melts away? They all have their own appeal, obviously, but if you just have that, I think it does risk becoming one note. So having, every permutation of, I'm going to have a rib and then some broccoli and then a drink of beer and then some pickles, some pickled jalapenos, just to kick in, and then contrast that with the really silky, buttery brisket. Sculpting this sort of journey for yourself, I think, is what makes this sort of meal so phenomenal, and so memorable. Everything here is just so good, man. Probably my favorite barbecue place in the city, and that's saying a lot because there's a lot of really great barbecue spots. I think of the salads, my favorite was this corn salad here, the crushed up chips and stuff. It was so juicy, so invigorating. Really kind of gives you the stamina to eat more meat, I think, having that sort of counterbalance. All great stuff. Wonderful, wonderful time. Again, I'm really trying to focus on the food, but not the experience. But I think eating this outdoors with just like the perfect temperature and a cold beer, that's really hard to not factor into how much I enjoyed the food, which was a lot. Okay, let me check my messages again real quick. Can we add some photos? No. I mean, we can, but I don't want to. Talking about Star Wars. Alright. Now we're into, I believe, our top 3. Starting with this kind of unassuming looking meal in a food court tray. You wouldn't think twice about it. This is a place you could walk by a million times and never spend more than 5 seconds looking at it. It's BHK Roll, baby. Nestled away into an unpopular mall near College Station, alongside your kind of more traditional food court offerings. You're like, what the hell is BHK Roll? Probably wouldn't think about it. But this is like the truest definition of a hidden gem. Basically, this chef who was quite renowned in Toronto for some pretty high-end, classy, expensive Indian restaurants was like, you know what? I don't need all of that. I don't need the overhead and the hassle and the day-to-day grind of running a full restaurant. I just want to sell the best food I can as straightforwardly as I can, and opened this food court stall, BHK Roll. Their specialty, of course, is the titular roll, which you could call it kind of like an Indian burrito or something, I suppose. It's a mixture of meat and veggies all in this wrap, which is kind of like an egg fried pastry. The wrap itself is quite unique to me. It's so like juicy and moist and filling in and of itself, with just that kind of like eggy, rich taste to it. And then the meat and vegetables are all so marinated, so saucy. It's this wonderful, sweet, spicy, sour blend that I think is clearly the result of years and years and years of experimentation, of modifying and refining the recipe. It comes with this sauce, which is your just kind of like traditional green chutney sauce. I don't know what it is. You get it at a lot of Indian restaurants, and I love it. Dipping the roll in that just kind of like creates a really lovely counterbalance. I don't even do it on every bite, you know. You have a bite plain, a bite with the sauce, mix it all up. Really, really nice. I think it's like one of just the most perfect meals in downtown, in that it's like pretty cheap. You get it quick. It's convenient. It's right next to the subway. And it's so filling, so satisfying, and just so delicious that it just instantly becomes like a highlight of your day. I came back here quite a lot. They got to know me, which was pretty satisfying. I was happy to make their patronage repeatedly. I told everybody about it. I decreed it as one of God's perfect meals in Toronto. It truly felt heaven sent. And maybe the best part, even after all that praise, is actually the mango lassi. This is hands down my favorite mango lassi I've ever had. I gotta get it with the mango lassi every time. Even though I think the price of the roll and the mango lassi are basically the same. But it's spiced in such an interesting way. It's sweet, but not too sweet. The mango flavor is super, super strong, but it tastes just like fresh mango, you know? It's not overly mango-y, like mango candy, if that makes sense. And the spicing just offsets it perfectly. It's so creamy, so addictive. I could probably drink like 10 of them back to 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 back. You'd have to try to stop me. And paired with a BHK roll, just offsetting that slight spice, that intensity, almost like the overwhelming complexity and diversity of flavors in the roll itself. Having a bite of that, having a sip of the lassi, it's just heaven. It's so good. All right. At number 2, this feels almost like cheating, but it's Oroshi Fish Co., which is a takeaway-only sushi place. They have a pretty limited menu. It's just various nigiri and combination sets of them. But you are basically getting like an omakase level experience in terms of getting like really high quality sushi. Like here you can see otoro, chutoro, uni, ikura. This is hotate, the nice raw scallop. You can basically just give yourself the quality of an omakase experience. All of the fish is like the purest, highest end quality. Um, a lot of it is dry aged. This is something they kind of specialize in, something kind of unique to them. Um, and it makes a world of difference in terms of the flavor. It's almost like if you've ever had dry aged steak, that kind of like nutty, rich flavor, where something almost like pungent emerges alongside the beefy flavor. Here it's the same, but it's that buttery, rich tuna flavor having that nutty accompanying rich dry aged flavor alongside it. It's like nothing else. It's phenomenal. Some of the best uni I've had outside of Japan. That really lovely orange color that you know just means it's going to be explosively flavorful. The ikura is great. They pile it on. They don't skimp on any of the fish, any of the toppings. So yeah, you can have this. I swear to God, it is on par with an omakase experience in terms of just the quality of the fish. And the price is like a tenth of omakase. It almost feels like cheating just to put it on here because it's just like I brought this box home of amazing fish and then I ate it and then I was happy. But like, how could it not be the greatest, man? I just love sushi. I love good fish. There's nothing more I want to eat on many days than just great sushi. And this makes it affordable. This makes it something you can just kind of grab and take home and enjoy instead of, a whole evening out. Now, had I had a whole evening out and had omakase made right before me at a chef counter, that would probably be number one on this list. And sure, that's something that I hope to do probably more likely in Japan than in Toronto because it's a lot cheaper in Japan than in Toronto. But Toronto has some amazing omakase spots too, and I'm sure if I tried any of them, it would be number one. But I just didn't. This is what I had this year, and God, it's so good. It's so good. Oh man, just looking at it, my mouth waters. Just a perfect omakase experience. You can just eat it in the order they would give you at an omakase restaurant, which is easy enough to look up. There's kind of a traditional order where you want to escalate the richness of the flavor, so you can keep kind of appreciating it more and more and more. Oh man, so good. If you're in Toronto, really check these guys out. It's not like it's cheap, It's not like, ooh, what a budget meal. But if you're gonna splurge and have a nice meal, this is like probably the best quality to price ratio in the city. You are getting like legitimately like a $400 experience for a $40 box of fish. It's so good. Or actually, I think this one is like $60. But it's a $600 experience. Whatever. Anyways. Finally, at number one, after I make sure I don't have to reply to any of these in the immediate future. Yeah, we're good. We have number one, R&D. Now, again, I'm really trying to separate the night out experience from the meal. But this was, I'll just say, a really, really wonderful, lovely night out. This is my boyfriend and I's third anniversary dinner. So we splurged, we went somewhere pretty fancy. This is a kind of modern, experimental Chinese restaurant. The name R&D, of course, implies that sort of thing. I had it recommended by a few friends, so it seemed like a great time to try it. We ordered 4 dishes, shared all of them, pictured here. We also each had a specialty drink, which I didn't have room for on the slide to put in a picture of. But yeah, just really, really wonderful night out. Everything you'd want from like a big deal meal like that. We had macarons for dessert too from Dango, which is a cafe in the front of R&D. So yeah, if you're looking for a pretty like $3 sign expensive, lovely night out in Toronto, highly recommend R&D for that whole experience. And then on the level of the food, it was number one. Like even really trying to divorce the overall feelings I have towards my partner and our night out and everything, and just focus in on the food. Like if I had gotten this at McDonald's, it would still be number one. So we started with this shumai. I'm both a big fan of shumai, so I wanted to try it here. It is very elevated. It is, a very bold flavor with a spicy sauce on top, and I want to say like truffle integrated into the pork. I'll say this, not my favorite. I would rather get just high quality shumai at like Rosewood or something at Rolsan or any one of the other Toronto dim sum staples. I think for shumai, I just want like straightforward shumai type shumai. But it was very, very interesting. I was happy to have tried it once. Um, it's interesting to kind of have the familiar form and texture of shumai and then to see kind of how far you could go with the flavoring. Similarly, this chili encrusted calamari we got was very, very interesting, very memorable, very bold, but not my favorite. Again, just kind of interested to try the calamari at such a place. It's a dish that we both love, that we order at a lot of other restaurants, so it felt right to give it a try. But very, very intense, very, very salty, very spicy, very chili forward. Really immaculate taste and texture, like of the squid, of the way that the squid was fried and prepared. But again, something where I'm like, whoa, that's interesting, but 9 times out of 10, I'm going to rather have just like your traditional sort of calamari dish. So after those two dishes, I was like, all right, well, this is your fancy dining experience. It's kind of crazy. It's stuff you wouldn't have otherwise. It's using a lot of really high quality stuff to make something unique. But I don't know. It's not. I'm not like, damn. I want to come back here every day. But then, oh man, we got these bao. Oh, this is probably my favorite bao I've had in my life. The buns were just so pillowy and soft and sweet and warm, and the meat inside was just like, besides something that we ate immediately later, some of the tastiest, most succulent meat I've ever had. I think this was a pork short rib. And then the toppings were just so generously applied. Like, I think here I recognize that they were aiming for more of like a solid, consistent, everyone will like this sort of dish versus something that was experimental. Because the toppings are basically just like Kewpie mayo infused with some other sauces. I think there's like a pickled element and some spring onions. And that's not crazy, that's not mind-blowing, but they just made it so rich and so generous, alongside just this excellent quality pork short rib that, oh my god, like, it was like tears came to my eyes. I think not just from how delicious it was, but also just like a sense of relief of like, okay, we did get at least one thing that is just like unequivocally great and delicious and isn't just like interesting, but is actually like something I would love to eat a dozen of, say. And then the final thing we got was a char siu of Iberico pork. Now, Iberico pork, if you don't know, is a very specific designation of pig. It's a black pig that lives in Spain and eats only acorns. This is kind of like a cultural treasure of Spanish cooking. In Spain, you can eat it by the boatload. It's relatively cheap. It's so delicious. When I was in Spain a few years ago, I ate it like every day. Typically just in like ham, in cured Iberico, slices of that in a sandwich or whatever. Where it was phenomenal. So the idea of instead cooking a loin of it in char siu style was really, really intriguing to me. One of the benefits of this is because the lineage of this pork is so well understood, because the genetic factors are so accounted for, and because of the diet of the pig is so controlled, they actually can give this like a parasite-free designation, which allows them to cook it rare. And I never had char siu rare before, but oh my god, the succulentness of it, having just like the outer crispiness, that slightly charred exterior with just such like a steak like medium rare melt in your mouth interior was already so novel to me from just like a texture perspective. And then the flavor was just out of this world. It had all that rich, buttery nuttiness of the Iberico it had in Spain, but infused with everything I love about like the best char siu I've ever had at Chinese restaurants. Just that sweet, soy, savory, overwhelmingly umami. Like you feel like your mouth is just gonna overflow. You're drooling so hard eating it. Such a simple flavor. Again, this is another one where they just kind of aimed right down the middle. We've got this phenomenal ingredient. Let's just give it to them in the way that they can appreciate it best. So you know, just a simple, addictive flavor with such a simple sauce to complement it and highlight it. It was so good. After we finished eating it, I looked up at my boyfriend and I was like, "Do you want to just order another one of these? Like just right now? Do you want to just get another one and just eat it again?" And he was kind of like, "No, that's ridiculous," because it was a little pricey. But oh man, oh, it was so good. I don't know. It's like, again, just this kind of like fusion of bringing in such a high quality ingredient from Spain, using it in a way that unlocks a method of cooking that you couldn't do otherwise, serving it medium rare like that, and just bringing out everything that you love about the Iberico ham in Spain and everything you love about the Chinese dish altogether. To me, this is like the point of the whole restaurant, is to find flavors like this, to find dishes like this, and this is such a phenomenal example. All right, that was my favorite meal of 2025. Very happy with this list. This was a lot of fun. I didn't consciously try to choose like a variety, but we ended up with actually like a really good variety. So many other great meals, of course, did not make the list, but very, very happy with those that did. And I think this is going to make eating in 2026 more fun. Like knowing, like this was something I came up with pretty around the end of the year last year, that this would be a fun year-end video. But I think going into 2026, like eating these meals and being like, ooh, maybe I'll talk about this at the end of the year. It was so good. I think will be pretty fun and will probably just lead me to appreciating the food all the more. That kind of like articulation driven appreciation. All right. That's my list. Let me know, what kind of meals have you enjoyed? Let me know if you've been to any of these places or if you have other places in Toronto to recommend. And yeah, see ya.